If you work in quality control at a candy factory, you know strict safety regulations come with the job. It's why you partner with Grainger. Grainger helps you find the high-quality and compliant products your business needs to inspect, detect, and help correct issues. And the sweetest part is, everyone gets a product that's as safe to eat as it is delicious. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour number 3 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. Coming up this hour, chat with Wes Reynolds. You know, Wes, we got to ask him. Scotty Scheffler, is he going to take care of business today at the CJ Cup? His odds aren't even listed at DraftKings right now. Right now at DraftKings, it has a winner without. You know, like we do about last night, ... They have winner without, ... Scotty Scheffler. As he is 23 under and has the largest 54-hole lead in a PGA Tour event since 2011, when it was Rory McIlroy at the U.S. Open. It seems like Scotty's on top of his game down there at the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson. So I don't know if we'll get a best bet on Scotty Scheffler from Wes, but maybe he's got some thoughts on that. Obviously, we will dive into Wes's best bets for the day on the ice, NBA, see if he's got a little baseball. Tom Tolbert, former Golden State Warrior, now analyst for Golden State as well. He's expected to join us coming up at the bottom of the hour. So looking forward to that. You can always tweet the show. I'm at one Tim Murray. Always love the tweets coming in. We had a great tweet exchange yesterday as I took a little bit of a jab at the Preakness, and then I was told, hey, go to the Preakness by a listener out there, and if you don't like it, I'll get your money. I'll give you your money back. No, I gotta figure out. It's not as easy as it used to be for me to get to the Preakness, when it used to be like a 45-minute drive or whatever it was from my house to Pimlico there in Baltimore. But one of these days, I will say this. I was very happy to see the result of the Kentucky Derby yesterday, as we've discussed. Tip of the cap to so many people here on VSiN. I did not have the FOMO that I thought I was going to have. You see that slop? I'm good. I was good in the friendly confines of the Murray Casa there last night. But Nikki chimes in on Twitter, and she says, good to hear you live on a Sunday. I think I'm going first period over tonight just because. Look, I can't blame you. When you look at the price and you look at the tax that you're having to pay on a first period under, it's insanely expensive. And it's interesting to note, I feel like you're finally starting to see maybe the resistance point. I walked into studio this morning at around 6 a.m., a little bit after 6 a.m., looked up at the big board here at Circuit and said minus 140 first period under, which is what I bet. Okay, pricey, but not too crazy. And then we saw a rush of money come in on that first period under. And now you're looking at DraftKings is minus $160. Here at Circa, minus 155. So you're getting plus price on a bet that has come home 5 of 6 games in this series. So, Nikki, I hope you lose your bet because I'm on the under, but I don't blame you whatsoever to look at the over in this series. And look, as I discussed yesterday on the the under trend in Game 7s in the NBA, right? The trend had been, I think since 2018, 14-5 to the under in Game 7s. I said, be careful, paying a pretty hefty tax. And what happened last night? The Denver Nuggets, look, I didn't play it. I just stayed off the under. The Denver Nuggets and the Clippers went over the total 120 to 101. Really never had much of a shot. They sailed over. So first period unders, was it 8-1 in the last 9? Comes home yesterday with ease, but once again, you're paying the tax. So we'll see how it all plays out today. Looks like I'm going head-to-head with our listener, but appreciate you listening in. And, at the plus price, hard to argue, but hopefully Connor Hellebuck can show up here this evening and what will be the first Game 7 in Winnipeg since 1977. As for the total tonight in the NBA, so we have I keep kind of jumping over the fact that we do have a Game 1 today. The Cleveland Cavaliers And the new Indiana, I'm getting choked up. I'm so excited. Indiana and Cleveland. Circa just went to 8.5 on this game. Cleveland out to an 8.5-point favorite. Total 229.5. That's first up. And then the nightcap, Golden State and Houston will be, the final Game 7, the final first-round game out there, as the winner will move on to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Golden State will either head to the Twin Cities or T-Wolves will go to Houston. But looking at the total, right now, we'll call it 206. There's a 206.5 out there. There's a 205.5 at Circa. This series has not been as drastically different from a total standpoint than Clippers and Denver. Think about it this. Like Clippers and Denver, right? Game 1 was 224.5. Game 7 closed 206.5. So you had an 18-point swing in the total in that series. And the last 3 games of that series, Clippers and Denver, went over. It went under, big adjustment. The last 3 games all went over in the Clippers-Denver series. Similarly, first 3 games of Golden State and Houston, they all went under. Game 1, easy under. Maybe the easiest bet you could have made in the whole series, right? 213 was the total. Had 190 points to 95-85 win for Golden State down there in Houston. Game 2 goes under. Game 3 goes under. So now we're sitting at 204 for Game 4, and then you see the first over of the series happen. You see another over come home in Game 5. Total was at 203. Game 6, it goes to 208, and another over comes home, 115 to 107. And now here tonight, as I mentioned, got down to 201, but it was yesterday when we were on the air, we saw the over money start to come in. And now, being that it's on par with a Game 3 or a Game 2, I think that's fair, and I think that's probably an accurate number. I don't know if you're necessarily paying a enormous tax on the Game 7 under spread there. You were at 201, and that's why we saw the resistance out there in the betting market. So 3-3, of course. That's how you get to a Game 7. Good job, Tim. Houston, now a favorite, -2.5 tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Steve Kerr talking to the media yesterday about the missed opportunity and what they have in front of them tonight against the Houston Rockets.
It's a great series, 2 really evenly matched teams, and you can't get caught up in anything other than the next game. And, what I think we were well aware that last night we had a great opportunity that we didn't cash in on, but there's a reason it's a 7-game series. So we got another crack at it, and we're excited.
Looking at the betting splits over at VSiN.com, I'm curious to see how the betting public is going to attack this game. So right now, 53% of bets at DraftKings on the Warriors plus the points, so almost split. But more money on the Rockets. Yesterday, and I don't know if it's a best bet for him, you'll have to check the picks page here later today, JVT seemed to kind of feel like Warriors kind of missed their opportunity. And now here they are back at home. So thinking back, and I always like to do this, we've also seen, I'm kind of going all over the place. So real quickly back to the zigzag, because that's certainly been something that we've talked about here quite a bit. The zigzag, and JVT talked about this. Dave Tooley always puts this up on Twitter to kind of recap the day. The zigzag came home again yesterday. So far this postseason, if you've played the opposite of the losing team, is that right? If you've played the losing team, I'll get it. If you play the losing team, the following game, the zigzag, 22-11-1 ATS, covering at a 66.7% clip. So the zigzag would be in effect here. However, the zigzag obviously did not get home in Game 6, as the Warriors, as around 6.5-point favorites, did not get the victory. But I'm conflicted on this one. I don't have a bet yet on Rockets Warriors. You're paying, as Rick Kamala pointed out, a pretty hefty tax on Steph Curry. 4.5 is his 3-point prop, juiced over. Fred VanVleet is someone, and I want to talk to Tom Tolbert about this at the bottom of the hour. Fred VanVleet, and Draymond Green said it postgame. I think he was lying, but regardless, he said he's the reason they lost, or the Raptors beat the Warriors. Well, the reason the Raptors beat the Warriors, Kevin Durant was hurt, and Klay Thompson was hurt, and Kawhi was pretty important too. But that aside, VanVleet's been awesome these last 3 games. Do you get a little bit of regression here from Fred VanVleet? Look at his three-point prop. It's juiced at 3.5. Is he going to continue to flourish from long range? To the ice, we get a Game 7. Blues, Jets. The home team has won every single game so far in this series. Advantage Winnipeg, you would think. You're starting to see a little bit of Winnipeg money hit the market here today as the Jets facing elimination as the President's Trophy winner. The St. Louis Blues, their head coach is Jim Montgomery, and he's ready to rock and roll for a Game 7 tonight north of the border.
It's about season and opportunity for us. You're in Game 7 of playoffs. It's what we've all dreamed of that are, in that organization, in that locker room together.
We will see. Connor Hellebuck, can he get back to the Vezina Trophy form that we saw throughout the year? I think it's a low-scoring game. I'm not going to play under 5. That is an insane number, but I think it's a low-scoring game. I think you get a pretty good performance from Hellebuck and the Jets defense. I'll say it's low-scoring first period. Hopefully, fingers crossed there. And I will say the Jets do take care of business and get the win and move on to the next round where they would face the Dallas Stars. We'll have more on the Game 7s, as well as looking ahead to the NBA series. Wes Reynolds going to join us on the other side of the break. Just a reminder, folks, this summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas with the ultimate getaway package, just $400, and you'll get a 2-night stay at Circa, $100 dining credit. And also, if you want to go to sharpplays.com, you can check out sharpplays.com as well. It is VSiN, the Weekend Morning Line. We'll check in with Wes Reynolds on the other side of the break. Former Golden State Warrior Tom Tolbert will join us at the bottom of the hour. It is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
We keep it rolling here on a Sunday morning. By the way, I just saw Mike Somich. I'm gonna make Mike come in during the last segment. He's gonna be on the air for Ready Set Bet coming up top of the hour. I got to give the dude his flowers. He crushed it. I think he's probably had a smile on his face all night long on the air. There's nothing better than giving out what he gave out yesterday. Superfecta, have it hit on the air. So I got to have Mike come on and give him his due, as he absolutely crushed it, as did so many people here on VSiN for the Kentucky Derby. You know, a man who usually crushes it with his bets. It's our guy, Wes Reynolds, who joins us right now, courtesy of our progressive guest line. Wes, as an Indiana native, how many derbies have you been to?
Been to 3 lifetime, Tim.
Okay. Worth it? Worth it? Do I need to get there? I've been to Churchill Downs, but I just kind of walked around the facilities.
Yeah, look, it's one of those single-day events that I think are kind of like bucket list items. The Kentucky Derby, we have one in our home state, the Indianapolis 500 at the end of the month. So yeah, I think just to experience it and see all the color and the pageantry and see the pre-race festivities and all of that stuff. It's kind of a rite of passage event, I think.
Wes Reynolds joining us here, courtesy of our progressive guest line. Wes, I was looking, can I bet on Scotty Scheffler today? I didn't know if we could lay any chalk on Scotty at the CJ Cup.
I actually have to see if they're still putting price up for it. I did not. I was like, okay, if it's a 3-1 and he beats me, okay. But yeah, I'm looking. Actually, I just happened to open up DraftKings. They have the winner without mark.
Yeah,
and that's all they have. So you can bet who's going to finish second, essentially, because he is 23 under par. Of course, Scotty is now a Dallas native. This was a weak field anyway, because it was sandwiched in between the 2 major championships, the Masters, then the PGA. at Quail Hollow in 2 weeks, and then you've had these signature events. So this was kind of a boilerplate regular tournament, down event, not a lot of quality at the top, and you're seeing why. Scotty Scheffler 23 under par. The next pursuers are at 15 under.
We're talking to Wes Reynolds. At Wes Reynolds 1 is where you can find him on Twitter. He's got some plays up on vsin.com/picks. We'll get to a couple of them from a baseball standpoint. But, Wes, let's talk about your hometown Indiana Pacers. They start their series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I gave out my best bet. It is the double result. Cavs to win Game 1, Cavs to win this series. But what I said throughout the show, and I know Zach Cohen wrote up the Pacers plus the points at plus 8.5 for today. I've heard a lot of conflicting opinions on this series. Some people believe the Cavaliers are just going to steamroll the Pacers, and others believe that this is going to be a pesky series where the Pacers are going to be feisty throughout. What do you make of this series, and anything you're looking to add to the account for Game 1?
Yeah, I'm in the middle here, Tim. I'm going to say slightly pesky here because I think that the price probably is a little bit disrespectful to the Pacers because keep in mind this team, fourth best record in the NBA since January 1st. These were the two best offenses from an offensive rating standpoint, any different metric you want to look at. These were the two best offenses in the first round. But the problem I think for the Pacers is now they're playing a team that's just as deep as they are. I think their depth beat Milwaukee. Put aside Lillard's injury and whatnot. Even with the healthy Lillard, I didn't think Milwaukee was good enough to beat Indiana, and the result probably would have been the same. But 4.25 you're getting if you want to take the Pacers outright for a series. That's probably high, but it's also probably right in the fact that Cleveland, this team won 64 games, and they did so for a reason, and they're very deep. They even got better with the DeAndre Hunter trade in the middle of the season. So you don't want to look at too much of the regular season results. You're going to see the Pacers won 3 of 4 in the season series, but there were so many games like there is in the modern day NBA where stars missed. There were games that Tyrese Halliburton missed. There were games Siakam missed. There were games Donovan Mitchell missed. There were games that Mobley missed. So don't even pay any attention to like the regular season series stuff. But the way that I played this, I played series spread and I played a little bit more conservative. I think I took Pacers plus 2.5 games minus $1.25. So essentially that's saying that this is going to go 6 games. And all the pundits in terms of their projections are saying Cavs in 5, Cavs in 6. I think Cavs in 5 might be a little bit disrespectful because the Pacers can score. And just by their offensive output, I think that they can hang with this team most games. But for Game 1, I really didn't do much here because I think Game 1s are so hard, especially if you're playing like from a player prop standpoint, because you don't know yet how it's going to play out and what adjustments are going to be made to start the series. Are the Cavs going to run a lot of zone? Because that's what they did in like 2 of the games in the regular season. They ran a lot of zone against this Pacers teams and just kind of dared them to make shots above the zone.
Wes Reynolds joining us here, courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line. You know, I always love when we can have bets opposite sides, but we both can win. So you can win your Pacers bet, I can win my Cavs bet, and we'll be good to go. So hopefully that is the case moving forward here. You know, a lot of trends have been thrown out there as we've got 2 Game 7s, one on the ice, one in hoops. And I want to throw them all at you and see which one you would either roll with or look against. So we've got the zigzag theory in effect tonight as the Golden State Warriors, of course, lost Game 6. They also lost Game 5, so the zigzag lost. But zigzag so far this postseason, Wes, 22-11-1 ATS. Teams that lose the previous game win the next game and cover. Then we've got the Game 7 under for the NBA, which did not get there last night, but since 2019, 14-6 to the under in Game 7s. And then we've got the first period under trend on the ice, which I believe 8 of the last 9 Game 7s, including last night, have gone under the first period. So all of these have a little bit of tax baked in. Of those 3, any of which would be interesting to you from either fade or follow standpoint today?
Well, I don't know. I've got some PTSD from last night being on the under in Dallas.
Oh, no.
I don't want to. I don't think you could do it anymore. You really have to be, I think, very selective in how you do that. The Game 7 unders on the ice used to be, you print money playing these things long term, and you can't do that now. That thing was 1-0 after 40 minutes, and somehow that gets over with 2.7 seconds left to go. So I'm a little gun shy. I mean, first period, you could kind of look at that, but if you're looking at the VIG on the Blues and the Jets this evening, like minus 170, minus 175 to play that under. No, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and pass and be selective on that. In terms of the zigzag, and that applies obviously to the Warriors and the Rockets for Game 7 later tonight, I don't know if the Warriors have the answer right now for the Rockets necessarily, because the Rockets are playing that double big zone with Sengun and with Steven Adams, and the Warriors have no answer for it. The Warriors, we know, have no size. They have no rebounding. They try to play the kid Quentin Post in the post, and he's a guy who can step out and shoot threes, but he can't guard anybody. So you can only play him so many minutes. Kevon Looney, they only played, I think, like 2 minutes in game number 6, and that's a game where I thought, okay, they really need his rebounding. They really need his defense. They basically brought him in the second half just to do the hack of Adams, is what they did. They didn't play him hardly at all. So this Warriors team, they're just not going to get any taller in the next few hours, and I think that's going to hurt them down low. So I don't know if they have the answers. I know that the temptation is Steph in Game 7 and playoff Jimmy and all that stuff, but I think from a schematic standpoint, I give Udoka some credit going with this double big zone because the Warriors just have not been able to solve it.
All right, Wes, before we let you run, you've got a couple of baseball plays in over on VSiN.com/picks. You get all of those if you're a VSiN Pro subscriber. Give us one baseball play that you're really geared up for today.
Yeah, but just a couple that I played from a pitching standpoint. In the early game, the early of the doubleheader in St. Louis, I played St. Louis Cardinals team total over 3.5. Tidwell going, so this is a guy that, not a lot of starting experience. The Cardinals maybe can get to him a little bit early. And then Minnesota-Boston. Crochet has been terrific, but I think Boston gets the sticks out today against Chris Paddock. So over 8.5 on the total. I think you could still get minus 115 if you're looking out there for that.
You could read all of his, get all his picks over at VSiN.com/picks. You could read all of his golf content as well. Wes, always appreciate it, my friend. We'll talk soon.
You bet, Tim. Thanks for having me.
There he is. Didn't talk any Fernando Mendoza with him. We'll get into that. The latest Indiana transfer, the former Cal Golden Bear. I'm itching, baby. I'm itching to talk some college football, but I'm holding back. It's May 4th. May the 4th be with you, by the way. Smarter bets start here and last all year long with VSiN Pro. For a limited time, we're slashing the prices on our annual subscription. Normally, it's $240. Right now, $199. And hey, how about this? I'll throw in 2 extra months. Don't tell Bill 80. It's just me. I'm throwing in those extra 2 months for you. 14 months of VSiN Pro access for less than 50 cents a day. Use the promo code PRO, VSIN.com/subscribe. Promo code is PRO. 14 months for $199. We'll talk to Tom Tolbert. He'll give us the insight on the Golden State Warriors and how they can win tonight in Houston.
Tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
Happy Sunday all, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Vegas. I'm Tim Murray as we get ready for a busy day on the hardwood. We've got a Game 7 on the ice, a Game 1 in the NBA as we see the Pacers and Cavaliers start things up at around 6 o'clock Eastern. And then Game 7, Golden State Warriors taking on the Houston Rockets down in Houston. And a gentleman who will help us break it down, a former Warrior. He's been doing work out in the Bay Area for a long time. You can catch his show, The Tom Tolbert Show, on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, part of the Bay Area Sports Collective. It is Tom Tolbert who joins us right now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. Tom, this Warrior team has obviously had just ridiculous success over the years. We tried to count them out. We tried to say it was over. They go out and win a title in 2022. This year, they get Jimmy Butler at the trade deadline. It sparks them. They're up 3-1 in this series. When you look at these last 2 games, Tom, Is there a cause for concern for the Warriors heading into tonight that they were unable to finish it off in either Game 5 in Houston or Game 6 back in the Bay?
Oh, yeah. I think anytime you go to a Game 7 and you're up 3-1, clearly you've lost momentum at that point, and you got to try to figure out why you lost momentum. Is it something that they're doing, something that you're not doing that you were doing? So that's what they're going to have to figure out tonight. I mean, the Rockets have pretty much done the same type of things, except they've gone to a funky zone defense that's been very effective against the Warriors. And Fred VanVleet he's been Steph Curry. Instead of Steph Curry being Steph Curry, Fred VanVleet turned into Steph Curry. I want to say my numbers may not be exactly right, but the first 3 games from 3, I think he was 6 for 29. In the last 3 games from 3, he's 18 for 27, which is just insane. I mean, I've never seen anybody flip a switch like that. I've seen guys get hot for a game that were cold, or get cold for a game that were hot, of course, but never cold for 3 straight games, then scorching hot for 3 straight games. So, they got to find a way to neutralize him somewhat. Jalen Green really hasn't been able to do much except for Game 2 in Houston. Then try to figure out that zone somehow. It's a funky zone. It looks like it's a 2-3 that morphs into a box and one sometimes, man-to-man other times. I mean, it's a funky zone, but they're going to have to figure that out a little bit. And then Steven Adams is the only player in the series that has a plus-minus in the plus. Not cumulative, but plus-minus in the plus every single game. So whether the Rockets have won or lost, Steven Adams has been in the plus every single game. He has been a massive difference maker, both figuratively and literally, for the Rockets.
Tom Tolbert, Warriors color analyst, the Tom Tolbert Show. You can find it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Joins us right now to help us break down Game 7 tonight between the Warriors and Rockets. I want to go back to VanVleet because I got the numbers and I think you were right. 6 of 29 from 3 in the first 3 games, 18 of 27 last 3 games. So, Tom, once again, I'm a big believer in regression, whether it be positive or negative. And, you probably anticipated, all right, he's going to have better shooting performances. So as a former player and someone who's called as many games as you have, is this something that you believe is sustainable, or do we see the Warriors attack him a little bit differently? Should we anticipate maybe a little bit of regression here from VanVleet?
Well, here's the problem about regression. When does it start occurring?
Right.
I mean, do you go over the course of the last 3 games that he's been just blistering hot? Or do you say, yeah, but in the series, he's 21 for 56, which would make him, really good, but not great anymore. So, I mean, when does regression start? I mean, that's my only problem that I have with analytics sometimes is it's an in-game thing, but in-game, things don't have to pan out in-game. I mean, numbers are designed to pan out over the long haul, which means over the course of a season, or in the case of football, maybe over the course of 2 or 3 seasons. So I would treat him like he's Steph Curry today. I wouldn't say, okay, he's going to go back to being VanVleet, who was a 35% shooter this year from 3. I mean, he had a horrible year shooting the ball. He shot 38% from the field, 35 from 3. So, I'm not willing to take that chance. I'm not going to have him come in there and hit his first few threes, and then he's going to start hitting shots that are just crazy shots. And I'm most certainly not going to do what I did to start the fourth quarter, which is leave him wide open and forget about him. I mean, that's not the guy you want to leave open right now under any circumstances. Yeah. I mean, going forward, if I was going to play him like 10 more games, I'd probably play him the same as I normally would, but not now, not in this game. I can't afford that luxury.
So this just kind of popped up a little while ago, and we'll see what it ultimately means. But Gary Payton II is now listed as questionable, dealing with an illness, and we know that the Warriors have had some illness. Pajemski had food poisoning earlier in the series. I know Jonathan Kuminga was dealing with migraines, I think, a couple of games ago. dealing with a sickness. We've seen this pop up throughout the playoffs. Different players, dealing with. I think Luka dealt with it with the Lakers. When you see something like this, Tom, what do you make of it for Gary Payton? And if he's not 100%, how big of a loss would that be for the Warriors tonight?
I love Gary. He didn't have a great game last game. They started him to stop Fred VanVleet. Excuse me. And he really didn't. He did hold him in check as far as shot attempts, but he got going a little bit. And the problem with starting Gary is your floor spacing gets kind of messed up because you have Steph and you have Buddy Hield, who obviously are floor spacers. Draymond Green isn't. Jimmy Butler, as good as he is not. And Gary Payton isn't. So you have three guys the Rockets can play with a foot in the paint and then recover out when they catch the ball. They don't have to be on the go while the ball is in the air. So it wouldn't surprise me if they just went back to the starting lineup of the series, starting lineup that started, I don't know, the last 30 or so games when Butler was there. That was like 24-7. I don't remember the exact numbers, but that was, I believe, Draymond, Jimmy Butler, Moody, Podziemski, and who was it? Moody, Podziemski. Oh, Steph, of course. Yeah, of course, Steph. So, I mean, that was the lineup. The thing they didn't love about that was that they were going to guard Moody with Şengün and force him to hit jump shots. They didn't want to have Şengün on Draymond Green, which would be his natural counterpart, because then Draymond goes up and sets the picks. And Draymond's not a shooter, because you get the ball to Draymond in like the free throw line area, then he's a decision maker. Then he's the guy that can hit that little 10-footer. He can pass to the opposite wing, whoever's over there stretching the floor, and he can pass to the dunker spot. So whoever's in the dunker spot, Draymond can throw a lob over the top to him. He's not there. They're not letting him do that because they're guarding the other guy with Şengün. So I don't know which way they go. I do know this, that some of the other guys out there are going to have to hit some shots. They just are, whether it be Quentin Post, Moses Moody, Brandon Podziemski. There's going to have to be, so you can't count on Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry to get you 60 in tonight's game. If they do, that's great. But some of those other guys got to step up and hit some shots early.
Tom, before I let you run, we got about a minute and a half here. How do you see it playing out tonight? What is the route to success for the Warriors, and do they get that route and ultimately move on to the second round?
Well, if I knew if they were going to win or not, I'd be in Vegas with you, but I'm not.
Well, that's why I'm trying to get the answer from you, Tom.
Yeah, well, I wish I knew. I wish I could help you out there. But here's the key to success for the Warriors. Get off to a quick start. You got to get off to a fast start. You can't fall behind in this game. Some of the other guys have to be able to hit shots. You got to slow VanVleet down a little bit. I mean, just a little bit would be fine. And you got to find a way to attack that zone defense. They got to try to find a way. And look, attacking that zone defense becomes a lot easier when some of those other guys are hitting shots, because they're trying to take Steph Curry away at all costs, and rightfully so. I would try to take him away at all costs too. The only thing I do feel comfortable about this game, and I don't feel great about it, but there's only been, I think they played 11 times this year, which is absolutely insane. I don't know if that's a record or not in the NBA, but they played 5 times in the regular season because of the midseason tournament, and they played 6 times now in the playoffs. I believe there's only 2 of those games where both teams have scored over 100 points. So they've been low-scoring grinders, and Game 7s tend to go that way for whatever reason anyway. I'm not sure if those numbers still hold, but they used to. So that probably would be the way I'd look, just a low-scoring, kind of a slugfesty type game. But as far as the winner is concerned, I mean, I think the Warriors are better, but, the Rockets are proving they are the last 2 games.
He's Tom Tolbert, former Warrior color analyst, and also check out the Tom Tolbert Show on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, part of the Bay Area Sports Collective. Tom, appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, Tim. Enjoy the day, man.
There he is, Tom Tolbert. We'll wrap it up. It is the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger, because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
Putting a bow on the show, it is the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. You can catch us every Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 1 p.m. Eastern. And then following this program, Ready, Set, Bet with Matt Brown and Mike Somich. And it wasn't Mike Somich yesterday. He was on special duty getting you ready for the Derby. And boy, tip of the cap to my guy. I had to bring him in. He's been working. He's done about 57,000 radio hits all throughout the week. I'm sure his voice is shot, but I had to bring you in before you hit the airwaves with Matt. And just tip of the cap to you, sir. You walked in studio yesterday. You were doing a radio hit, a little behind the curtain here, and you go, just get 18 home. And that was all I needed because I had heard from Drew Dinsick. We had Brittany Urton on the show earlier in the week. I'm like, okay, the stars are aligning for sovereignty. So take us through the madness yesterday for you. For those who missed it, not only did you hit the 18, but you hit, what, the superfecta?
Yeah, it was a great day. If you
$24 superfecta, baby.
If you were paying attention on Twitter, if you were paying attention on VSiN, we had the Kentucky Derby guide out.
Yep.
I hit the superfecta 3 times in the Kentucky Derby guide.
Is that good?
Paid around $5,000.
That's decent.
You know, pays for your subscription for, I don't know, the next 60 years, something like that. So hopefully everyone was able to cash in there. It was phenomenal. I mean, just the opportunity to be on Mad Dog Sports Radio, on VSiN during the race, talking through it, the live reaction. It's funny. There's a clip up on Twitter where I actually mentally realize that we just hit the superfecta, and it clicks in right when I say the 4th place finisher's name. Just a phenomenal experience and a great Kentucky Derby as well.
Yeah.
Like, I am someone that there's a lot of people that talk about the Kentucky Derby this week. I'm someone that loves horse racing all year round. And this is our Super Bowl. And to have a situation where you actually have the 3 best horses run first, second, and third in the Kentucky Derby and able to show what they are made of, to me was as beneficial as everything else. Because we've had crazy prices come in the last 4 years in the Kentucky Derby prior to this year. And it was a very difficult handicap. And then for this year to actually see the best horses show out on the biggest day was just phenomenal.
You know, I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but I love college hoops and, you know, love betting it all throughout the year. But our Super Bowl obviously is March Madness. That's when the people come in like, all right, what are your best bets? That's when I do my most radio hits. And you always feel like something that you're on early in the week then becomes trendy and you hate that pick by Thursday. You're like, oh, this is not going to go well. So as you went into the Derby, and you mentioned in our guide, which you have to give out your picks earlier than, you know, as the week goes on, the weather kind of plays into, how were you feeling from a confidence level going into them getting into the stalls yesterday?
Well, it's funny because going into the day, sky high confidence.
Yeah.
I love Sovereignty all week. I've been talking about this horse for literally a month and a half on VSiN at the Track. You can catch it every Friday at VSiN Live over on YouTube. We do a show. We're going to do the show leading into the Preakness. So if you want to see if we can.
Now, by the way, Mike, just do it again. You know, come on, do the dance. All right, you won us some more money. Now do it again.
So we'll be there back again this Friday, and then we'll have a show live on Preakness Saturday as well if you want to check that out. But I was highly confident in Sovereignty and Journalism, the 2 best horses in the class in my mind, heading into this race, and then on the actual Kentucky Derby day, we get weather. And that's when I started to get a little bit nervous because you watch the Pat Day Mile and you see horses go 22, 44 to the half, which is incredibly fast. And then that horse just runs off and gallops away. It's like, oh no, speed's going to play well.
Right.
And all week I talked about, we're going to have a fast pace in the Derby. The speed's going to back up. It's going to play well for closers. It sets up for Sovereignty. So I was sufficiently nervous, I'd say, heading into the gate. But once you saw Sovereignty start making the move on the backstretch, and journalism going with them. It was a 2-horse race, and it was what I want. I wanted those 2 horses. I wanted to see who was better on the biggest day in racing at the 1.25 mile distance under the Twin Spires.
Yeah, it was an awesome race, and I wasn't. We played the video of our colleague Mark Malusis from his Twitter feed. I wasn't full on Kramer at the track, but I was pretty excited to see it come home, and you nailed it on the show. Mike Somich will be with you, of course, coming up top of the hour. Him and Matt Brown, ready, set, bet. I got a question, just a novice horse question, because when the first scratch came about, Rodriguez was scratched. I remember hearing Chris Felica talk about, if there is a scratch, is it Baeza or Baeza? Baeza. If Baeza gets in, that's going to be a horse that you're going to look to bet. And then you saw the odds reflect that almost immediately. So explain to me and explain to our audience why Baeza was not in the initial field if there was so much support for it in the horse betting community.
Yeah, the odds movement was amazing.
Yeah.
Before the scratch of Rodriguez, he was 53-1. After the scratch, he was 16-1.
Wow.
Literally in a couple hour period. So just immediately the money starts pouring in. For the Kentucky Derby, you have a point system, and you have a series of races that you can earn points if you run in. And Baeza got started a little late, so he did not run in a major prep race until the Santa Anita Derby, where he ran second. They also have a rule where if there are less than 6 horses, the points are reduced. The Santa Anita Derby only had 5, so he did not have enough points to draw into the main part of the field. He needed a defection, a scratch, someone to say, hey, we're better off at a mile in the Pat Day Mile versus going the 1.25 miles in the Kentucky Derby. And fortunately for him, he was able to get it. And the interesting part about Baeza is that Flavian Pratt, who is the best jockey in the Kentucky Derby, he's won the race with Country House. He consistently runs in the top 4. He committed to this horse when he was 27th on the point list.
Wow.
He said, I am riding this horse if I get the opportunity in the Kentucky Derby. That was 6 weeks ago. And so to think about him saying, as the best jockey available, this is the horse I want to ride, told you everything you need to know about the talent for Baeza and what we'll see moving forward. I'm extremely interested to see what happens now, not just in the Preakness, but in the Belmont. The Belmont's at Saratoga this year because Belmont's under construction. So instead of going 1.5 miles, they're going to run 1.25 miles.
Okay.
Which is what we just did at the Kentucky Derby. That means journalism will be there. That means Baeza will be there. So you're going to have all of these horses skip the Preakness. And if Sovereignty's able to win that, he'll have to beat all of the big guns again to win the Triple Crown.
So Baeza and journalism, the anticipation is for them not to be at the Preakness?
I'd be surprised.
Okay.
I'd be surprised.
But Sovereignty will.
I would be surprised if he wasn't.
Right.
Bill Mott has not officially confirmed that Sovereignty will be in the Preakness, but you've got a shot at a Triple Crown. You run the horse. I mean, that's, it's so hard. We talk about Kentucky Derby fever all the time, where connections make a decision to run horses that probably shouldn't be running in the Kentucky Derby, but it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. It's the same thing with the Triple Crown. It doesn't come around very often.
So let me tell you how great of a day it was for Mike here. Because not only, so he pops in studio, we're talking real quickly in the break. He tells me Sovereignty's my guy. I'm like, all right, I'm in. So I see, I watching last night, watching you guys build it up, the Superfecta. We put it out on Twitter. And then I remembered in the back of my head, we were talking about Game 7 of the Stars and Avs. And you're like, I think I'm going to go contrarian. I think I'm going to go over. Easy winner. 1-0 after 2 periods. All you needed was 5 goals, a Mikko Rantanen hat trick, and 2.7 seconds to go. It was your day.
It was my.
Are you sure you want to work today?
No, I'm not. I won money at blackjack yesterday, which never happens. Never happens. So that was pretty nice. Shout out.
Fade everything that. No, I'm just kidding. I do want to get your quick thoughts. You're going to talk more about it, obviously, with Matt Brown here coming up with Ready, Set, Bet. But you're a big Blues guy.
I am.
I can't figure it out with Connor Hellebuck, why he's, so terrible, especially on the road, his numbers in the postseason. You look at the first period under, both you and I hit that yesterday in the Avs game. The juice is enormous. It's huge.
Loose.
It's 160 now. I played minus 140. That was available this morning. Just your quick handicap on what you anticipate tonight between the Jets and Blues in Winnipeg.
Yeah, real quick pro tip. If you want to bet unders in Game 7s, bet them immediately, right away, because it's going to move. It's going to go down. We're sitting at 5 now. This was 5.5 earlier this morning.
That's insane. 5.
It's very low. It's very low. I think the Blues are too high of a price. To me, look, you're missing Scheifele, who is the best player for the Winnipeg Jets, not named Connor Hellebuck, but who knows what we're going to get from Connor Hellebuck. That's a big loss for them. They were able to overcome it in Game 5 because it was in game and you have the emotion and everything going. it's going to be tough to be able to overcome it again in Game 7 in my mind. And you're seeing the price similar to Game 5. And that's where I kind of disagree with this. Generally, Game 7, you're going to see the price shrink down because it is a win and you're in Game 7 style. But you have Jordan Binnington in goal for the St. Louis Blues, who has a 0.82 goals against in Game 7s in his career. He is 3-0 in deciding games, including the Four Nations, where he won it for Canada and was phenomenal in overtime. Blues have an edge in goal. I don't know where Hellebuck is mentally, but to be pulled 3 times in a series and now to have one day to try and mentally overcome that and play in a Game 7, which is going to be his most scrutinized game of his career to this point, because he needs to play well. He's up for the Hart Trophy for MVP. He's going to win the Vezina again. I'm not sure how you mentally overcome that. You're seeing the Blues, or you're seeing the Jets get bet up here. They were minus 150 to start out. You can now get plus 150 on the Blues, minus 165 on the Jets. I have to take the plus money.
Are you going to get 18, 8, and 21 tattooed somewhere on your body?
Well, this is the second time I've hit the Super in 5 years.
Wow.
The other one for $24 paid $4,800. So this is the lower of the two I've hit in the last 5 years. So, you know, a little, I was on a few more shows this year though.
All you got to do, I mean, congratulations, but what have you done for me lately? The Preakness is in 2 weeks. That's Mike Somich. You're going to get plenty more from him, but a tip of the cap to him. Awesome analysis, sir. Great job. And do it again in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no problem.
Ready, Set, Bet is coming up next with Matt Brown. He'll pop into this chair. We'll get live bets Sunday for you as we get you through a couple of Game 7s and wrap up your day with cashing out. I'm Tim Murray. This has been the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.